Now, here's the thing too. So there's been that shortage of miners, but they're all starting to get released now too. And U.S. authorities have begun releasing these. I talked about this last month already, but I just wanted to bring this up once again because these are miners that are going to begin being deployed now, right? And over the past few months, they've been getting released. And as they get released, they're going to be coming online. So I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see, of course, like hash rate begin to increase overall at the end of the day. I'd have to go look at, I mean, even we could go to mining pool stats, right? I wanted to check this earlier. Bitcoin's up today too, a little bit, 84,000. Yeah, I mean, we just had a tick up in difficulty, a pretty significant one. So, I mean, miners are getting deployed pretty heftily, it looks like. I need to go back further on the chart, but we're at an all-time high difficulty. And most of that's getting deployed stateside. So it doesn't look like any of these like fears in the short term are accurate whatsoever to me, right? And evidence of that, by the way, mining difficulty has risen 6.8% as Bitcoin hash rate hits a record high on April 5th. We are at 121.51 trillion on the difficulty, and hash rate is peaking. At press time, the Bitcoin network's computing capacity is gliding at 876 exahash a second. We're up to over 900 exahash a second now, slightly below its recent peak. This record-setting hash rate arrives as mining difficulty edged up by 6.81%, raising the bar for miners attempting to validate new blocks. The current spot hash price, the projected daily return for 1 petahash per second of SHA-256 hash power, stands at $44 today, 46 on April 5th when they wrote this, and that hash price has fallen 11.15%. At this pace, the network needs to adjust just 117 exahash a second to cross the threshold of 1 zettahash per second, a milestone that appears likely to be reached in 2025. Currently, 883 exahash translates to 883 quintillion hashes per second, or 0.883 zettahashes per second. This record-setting computational high coincides with a lull in transaction activity as recent blocks remain largely unfilled. Of all the blocks mined in the past 24 hours and the total revenue collected, less than 1%, specifically 0.89%, originated from on-chain fees. And this is a big problem, by the way, guys, because obviously what we are experiencing, and it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out, but everything is decreasing quite significantly on the use of the blockchain. And remember what I've said before is the halving will stop affecting the price of Bitcoin when fees meet parity, right? So when miners get paid out the same amount in block rewards as they do in fees, that's when we will break out of your traditional halving cycle. And we're going the opposite direction because everybody's beginning to hoard their Bitcoin, right? And all the Bitcoin is being paper traded with things like ETFs and so on. That means, to me, the time horizon for a super cycle is pushed out further and further, right? I was thinking maybe 2 more cycles we would see it, but at this point it's looking like if this is the way people are going to begin treating Bitcoin, which is purely as a store of value, you're going to have less price movement and more effect from the halving schedule, or a continued effect from the halving schedule. Now, I've kind of modified my price for Bitcoin because it looks like we hit that first all-time high with the like $110,000 mark. If you look at previous cycles, you kind of see a second run up, and I think we saw the first run up. We're about to have our second, And I think we'll be in that 110 to 115 range. And it might not go up to that $210,000 mark that I've thought it was going to go to in the past. I think it's been affected quite a lot by this thought of it being a store of value. And because everybody is perceiving it that way, and even Satoshi had talked about this in the forums, is that if people start treating it that way and governments start holding it and large corporations start hodling it, it will basically lose its purpose. And at the end of the day, its inherent value will be decreased. It's almost built into the network to behave this way if it's not being utilized as a currency. So utilization has to come back into Bitcoin before it can really see the same increases in price that it's seen after halvings previously. So our halvings will be less impactful over and over and over again, but they will remain to be impactful because of the lack of fees being utilized on the network, if that makes sense. So you're still going to be seeing like a halving schedule. You'll see lower and lower all-time highs every halving, and it is impacting the rest of the altcoin market pretty negatively too, because, you know, we say the rising tide raises all ships, but if you're not having the euphoria on the Bitcoin side, then you seem to begin lacking, of course, the all-time highs on the altcoin side, which is what we're experiencing, right? Outside of new cryptocurrencies, let's say like, you know, your kaspas, your lithiums, those sorts of things that weren't around during the previous bull run. Outside of those, you know, previous cycle altcoins are not trading at all-time highs and have not gone through an all-time high this cycle yet. By and large, I know there's a couple of outliers, but by and large, that's been kind of the way it's been. And I'm not sure that we will see those things happen again. We've talked about this before. A lot of what happened is that, you know, Solana took over, the meme tokens took over, took a lot of the liquidity out of the market, and the market as a whole on the altcoin side lost a ton of trust. And when they lose all of that trust, it's like, well, obviously you're not going to have those same euphoric effects that you had in the past. It is what it is. I hope you enjoyed this clip from the Crypto Mining Show. If you would like to see more from this particular episode, take a look up here. Don't forget to also subscribe to the channel. And if you want to support me directly, you can go to sonofatech.locals.com and become a member. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next Tuesday.